Hey movie fans, so a while ago I made a video where I predicted what I thought the roster would be for James Gunn's initial Justice League movie, which, is still years away, but we can still have fun predicting the future. So I'm going to do another thing along those same lines with a team that's probably even further away in the future, but it's still fun to speculate, with the Justice League Dark. The weird, the wacky, the mystical, and the magical side of the DC universe. Yeah, we've already gotten a little bit of that with Creature Commandos, which may or may not factor into some decisions I'm going to make in this video, but it's an element of the DC Comics world that I would love to see represented on the big screen at some point, specifically with Justice League Dark. We've had a movie reportedly in development for what feels like years now. Guillermo del Toro was supposed to be attached to it at one point or another, which still makes me so sad that we never got that. We had J.J. Abrams, I feel like, attached to it for a little bit, and now we've heard really nothing. But hopefully someday we get a Justice League Dark movie in this new DC universe, and if that's the case, who should be on the team? Because the roster has fluctuated quite a bit. Just like the core Justice League, there's roster members that are kind of tentpole staples, and there's others that you can kind of play with. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to give you my picks for who I would put in a Justice League Dark movie set in the new DC universe. Bit of a twist. I'm going to give you some casting choices of some names that I would throw in there for this movie. Just mix it up a little bit. But before we get into it, I want to hear from you guys. What would be your ideal Justice League Dark character roster lineup, and as well as who would you cast for those specific roles? Who would you have for this role? Who would you cast for that? Whatever your thoughts, let me know down in the comments below as I hear from you guys. Without further ado, there's one name and one name alone that really has to start off this discussion. John Constantine. I know it's maybe pronounced other things, but Constantine is like locked in my brain. It will always be Constantine to me. John Constantine is like the name that I think of above any other name for Justice League Dark. There's some other names that we'll get there, but John Constantine is like, he's the face of magic in the DC universe for me, as well as some other characters, but he is so different from what a figurehead should be for a leader in a group, and that's kind of why I think he's perfect for a Justice League Dark. Plus, it just makes all the sense. He's in the Justice League Dark animated movie, he was in Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, and was actually pretty much one of the main characters in that story, which was kind of surprising, but also very refreshing. I love Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. It's just fantastic. It's got to be Constantine. He's one of the main characters pretty much consistently throughout the Justice League Dark. There's no way you can't not have him. Who would we have? Well, I have 7 names actually, but that's a video for another day. If you haven't already, check that video out. So let's just kind of refresh some of those bullet points. I think Jonathan Bailey would be a great name. I think Dan Stevens would be a great name, but the name that I'm going to stick with then, and again here, is Jack Lowden from Fighting with Our Family or Slow Horses. I think this guy has that personality that I think is really an untapped gold mine acting-wise that I'm really surprised bigger studios haven't latched onto him yet. He's really an under-the-radar name in the movie sphere, and yeah, I could absolutely see him being John Constantine. Next up, if you have Constantine, you gotta have the other big name for the Justice League Dark, and that is Zatanna. Now, the thing is with Zatanna, she can kind of be introduced wherever. You want to put her in a Justice League Dark movie? Sure, makes all the sense in the world. You want to put her in a Young Justice or a Teen Titans movie? Sure. You want to put her in the Justice League proper? Makes sense to me. So you need a versatile actress to play that character. I really like Zatanna, and I hope we see her in the not too distant future in the DC universe, just because I like the magic that she brings. She's a fun and interesting character. She's unique. Just a fun, quirky character that can fit in, like I said, in a lot of different social settings and team dynamics, as well as just being a good, competent solo character, but, works in the team dynamic. So if we have Zatanna for this Justice League Dark, who are we getting to play her? Monica Barbaro. Yeah, she's one of those names that has been in other stuff, but still feels like she's kind of on the up and coming. She was Phoenix in Top Gun Maverick. She was in that, the Timothy Chalamet movie not too long ago. She was in that Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, which I feel like was either Netflix or Amazon. She's been pretty consistent, but every time I see her, whether it is in movies or in interviews, she just seems like a delightful person that I could absolutely see embodying that playful, fun energy that Zatanna has, but also has those serious roles that would be the other side of the character as well. She's got the charm, she's got the personality, she more or less kind of has that look that I would want for the character. I've seen so many names thrown out for Zatanna. but none really have stood out to me more than Monica. Next up is one of, if not my favorite member of the Justice League Dark, with Etrigan the Demon / Jason Blood. Now, for this, I'm going to cast those as two separate people. So, basically, Jason Blood is this dude that can transform into Etrigan the Demon by saying an ancient curse. And Etrigan has so much personality. I would love to see him on the big screen. So you need someone that's got the suave, debonair, just more of the straight man persona that is Jason Blood, and then the absolute madman and larger than life personality that is Etrigan. Etrigan was the easy one for me, and I went with God of War and Stargate SG-1's Christopher Judge. Christopher Judge has been one of those extremely underappreciated names for the longest time. Like I said, I've been a fan of his since Stargate SG-1 as Teal. I love him so much on that show. That's, really showing my age, but I don't care. And then you got him as arguably his most famous role today when he voiced Kratos in God of War. He just has that voice. You know what I'm talking about. That voice. That epicness in Kratos, yeah, that could translate with Etrigan. Plus, he doesn't get to show it as much with Kratos, but Christopher Judge has a great sense of humor. He can be that dry wit that Etrigan has from time to time, being the not necessarily straight man, but he's got his moments of humor. Now, Jason Blood was a little bit more tricky. So, I looked at previous James Gunn movies because James Gunn, it's a running joke at this point, likes to cast people that he's worked with. Now, up until this point, none of the names that I've actually named have worked with James Gunn in the past, so we're going to change that here and go with a name that he has worked with before. In the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, playing Ronan the Accuser, Lee Pace. You know him from Guardians of the Galaxy. He was also in the Hobbit movies, which might not be the most ringing endorsement, but he was absolutely a memorable character there. He could play that type of character that I absolutely could see Jason Blood being, the stoic and the serious and the suave, handsome, regular man, so to speak. Next up is one of the most fan-requested characters, not just for Justice League Dark, but for all of comics, I feel like, to the point of he has a movie supposedly coming in the DC universe, but I'll believe that when I see it, and that is Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing was one of the first things that James Gunn announced was happening in the new DC universe when he had that whole Gods and Monsters announcement, and we've heard nothing about it since. We had word that James Mangold, the guy that did Logan, Ford v Ferrari, Dial of Destiny, but we won't hold that against him, he was doing a Swamp Thing movie, but we've heard nothing about that since. And James Mangold has now taken a big old deal to go work with Paramount, so we'll see if he's still going to be attached to Swamp Thing. Regardless, I think James Gunn definitely wants to use Swamp Thing at some point in the DC universe, whether that's a standalone character or do a standalone story and then introduce him into the Justice League Dark, or be a member of the Justice League Dark. Either way, he's gotta be there. He's such a beloved fan favorite character that to exclude him just feels weird. Plus, there's so many fun storytelling possibilities that you can tell with a Swamp Thing. He has such interesting lore, interesting history, and great design that I would love to see done with a TV budget, not with a movie budget. I mean, not a TV budget. It had a TV budget twice, and to varying degrees of success. I would love to see Swamp Thing. He's got to be in a Justice League Dark movie if we get this movie at some point. So when it comes to Swamp Thing, this was actually one of the harder names to think of, and I didn't really end up having one that I truly loved. There's some good options out there, but the one in particular I'm going, yeah, I could absolutely see this, and I'll settle for this, but I'll kind of more leave it up to you guys to think of a better one for me. But I went with Ron Perlman just because of his extensive voice work. He's got that nerd cred doing the Hellboy movies. He just has that great iconic voice, and if we're not getting like a Christopher Judge, I think he's better suited for Etrigan, but I think he could also do a great Swamp Thing. I think we could get a really good Swamp Thing out of Ron Perlman. But again, it's not a name that I'm necessarily married to, so if you guys can come up with a better one, let me know down in the comments. We've got Constantine, we've got Zatanna, we've got Etrigan / Jason Blood, we've got Swamp Thing. Next up, if it's not Etrigan as my favorite, it is Deadman. I love Boston Brand. so much. I actually included him in my 10 DC Heroes underrated list of like characters that I would love to see at some point in the DC universe and who should play them. So if you saw that video, you already know who I'm going to say for Deadman. I want Matthew Lillard. I think Matthew Lillard is an incredibly underrated and underappreciated actor. Again, I said it before, see Life of Chuck. He's only a little bit of it, but so good and not nearly enough people talking about it. It's such a fantastic movie. Besides that, he's just an underrated talent. Plus, he's got that James Gunn backstory. He was one of the greatest castings of all time, being Shaggy in those 2 Scooby-Doo movies that were written, but not directed by James Gunn. Everyone always thinks he directed those, but he just wrote them. But he's such a perfect casting that they just stuck with him as Shaggy for the animated movies for still to this day. He still voices Shaggy. He still does it so perfectly. I love him. Besides just the Shaggy roles, I just love him in stuff. I think he's a very versatile, underrated actor that can do the serious, do the comedic. That's what you need for Boston Brand. You need a flexible actor in the range that they can do. I just love the character a lot. I think he's got a lot of fun potential. Plus, he's got Nightwing connections, which isn't important, but is very, very important to me specifically. I need some Nightwing connections. Nightwing is the anchor of everything in the DC universe to me. Let me have this. He's got a great design. He's got a lot of fun potential there, basically being a ghost. And it also makes the team kind of variety. We've got 2 magic users. We've got the big heavy with Etrigan. We've got the weird, earthy, ethereal being, godlike being with Swamp Thing. We've got an actual ghost with Deadman. Now, the next name I was going to mention here was Frankenstein, played by David Harbour because of Creature Commandos. But then I made a pivot, and I'm asking you guys to meet me halfway here. Because Frankenstein is a member of Justice League Dark in the comics from time to time. But we're going to take him out of the equation here and sub him out for somebody that isn't a Justice League Dark member, but we're going to make them one. I just go with me here. We're not going to do Frankenstein for Justice League Dark in the DC universe. We're going to go with the Bride instead. Because Creature Commandos proved to be such a big hit, and I don't want to just relegate that character to the Creature Commandos. I would love to see her expound to other teams, be in other projects. Plus, James Gunn was very adamant about the people that we cast in these animated roles are going to be in the live action forms. So, to me, that means he has plans to introduce them in live action. We've already seen that with Frank Grillo being Rick Flag Sr. in Creature Commandos, and then in Superman, and then Peacemaker, and in whatever we're doing with Salvation Run. So he clearly has plans for these characters, and I hope one of them is the Bride. I wanted to go with the Bride instead of Frankenstein. One, it gives another female presence besides just Zatanna, so it's not all dudes. We can kind of balance it a little bit. But also, it's a little less repetitive. If we had Frankenstein, we'd have a whole bunch of heavies. Frankenstein, Swamp Thing, Etrigan. This time, gives it a little bit more of the Black Widow type character, of an assassin type of spin, as opposed to a sheer brute force. Someone that can do the brute force, but that's not their specialty. You kind of want everybody on the team to have a designated role, not just kind of be a redundancy. And while I love David Harbour's Frankenstein and I would love to see him again, I'm going to go with the Bride instead just because I think that character has more potential. And then we're just going to go with Indira again, the same actress that played her in Creature Commandos, the voice the character. I absolutely just see her translating to live action. I would love to see this a lot. Lastly, my most wild card, but also just, I need this. Deadman and Etrigan are like my 2 favorites for Justice League Dark, but this one character in particular, non-negotiable. He needs to be there, and that is Detective Chimp. I want Detective Chimp in a Justice League movie or in the DC universe so bad, but I don't think it's that out of left field because James Gunn has such a track record for love of animals. Look at how big of a character he made Crypto. Look how big of a character Crypto is now in popular culture. Everyone loves that guy. And it kind of helps that he's, the most adorable bad dog ever. Plus, you had all of like Guardians 3 and Rocket in the Guardians trilogy. James Gunn likes animals. There's rumors of a heavy gorilla presence in the Superman side of things. Jimmy Olsen potentially in a TV show. We might get Gorilla Grodd if that's the case. Monkeys are on the table in the DC universe. I would love to see Detective Chimp. I love a good old-fashioned mystery. Monkeys are amazing. Cross them over. It's such a wacky and weird concept. Plus, you can have Detective Chimp be the goofy character for the straight man, I think it'd be hilarious if everyone else was weird and kind of had a sense of humor, not jokey and quippy like the Guardians, but had a sense of humor, whereas Detective Chimp could play the straight man. I think that would be hysterical. Plus, it's a crime-solving detective chimpanzee. I would pay all the money in the world to see that. Whether it's the Justice League Dark, whether it's a TV show on HBO Max, whether it's a standalone movie, just make it happen. And if that's the case, if we're getting Detective Chimp, in this case we are, I want Matt Berry. Yes, I love him so much. He's the voice of one of the robots in the Fallout show, but you probably know him better for the What We Do in the Shadows TV show, and I know him better for being in the IT Crowd, which is one of my favorite comedies of all time. Dude has such a specific line delivery and overall persona that I would love to see for Detective Chimp. I think he would fit so perfectly. He doesn't necessarily have to be the same character from What We Do in the Shadows or be the idiot type character that he is in IT Crowd. The man as an actor is incredibly intelligent, and I would love to see that side of him, of a little bit of humor that he's known for, a little bit more straight, and he's not a stranger to voice acting. I think he would fit perfectly for this. It might be out of left field, but that's the whole point of this video. What do you guys think? If we got a Justice League Dark team or movie in this new DC universe, what would be your ideal roster for this team, and who would you cast in those roles? Whatever your thoughts, let me know down in the comments below. If you want to see more videos like this, let me know some suggestions of what you want to see. And as always, if you'd like to see one more, subscribe to the channel. Stay sharp, movie guys and gals.